All right, welcome to the first ever episode of TC Talks. My name is Van Thomas, and I'll be hosting these episodes on a monthly basis to lend a voice to those up and coming artists. With that being said, please excuse any of those technical issues that I may run into, as this is my first time running a podcast in this kind of format. In this first episode, I used a wireless headset, so my voice quality isn't as good as I want it to be, but hopefully, this one sounds a little bit better. I hope you enjoy learning about the Main Man Remix and a little bit about Trigger Collective. If you'd like to be featured on the podcast, I'll have all the info you need linked in the description below. And with that, let's jump into it.
So let's see. So I do have like an intro written up and all that.
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about you know TC Talks. So this is our first ever episode, brand new, open format podcast, right? So we're gonna dive into anything, anything that anyone wants to talk about. Mainly, I wanted to highlight like smaller artists, and I really think like everyone is an artist. So anyone that wants to talk about like upcoming releases or new mixes that they're proud of, or like their style, their genre, whatever it may be, this is kind of the place that I want to give like a platform for people to talk. Because I saw I forgot what that podcast was called. It's called Back to Back with Willie Joy.
Oh
That
yeah, dude, Willie Joy,
yeah
that dude, his podcast, he's got so many like fucking gems that
yeah he
that like he
has like
shares on a podcast. All the people that pull up to the podcast, like these guys, they're industry certified motherfuckers. All right,
yeah
and I say that like with the utmost respect, of course, but like these guys, they all know what they're doing. Like they're at the top of like the game in their own respective lane. And anytime Willie
yeah
Joy brings something like, oh, I'm doing a podcast with XYZ. Oh shit, let me stop everything. I gotta go
yeah
to that
yeah.
podcast.
That's so yeah, I recently got turned on to that, and I was like, "Dude, this is so cool!" Like, and the way it's called back to back, I thought that was so funny. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of like where this idea came from, and I thought it'd be cool for us as like Trigger Collective to do this. So of course we have to
Yes.
have the main man remix himself on the first episode.
Oh man, you give me so much praise. My guy Van Thomas over here, dude. I like I can't.
I'm trying.
You
I'm
the
trying.
mashup king, bro. Can't compete with that.
No, 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 no. Yeah, so tell me about like okay, so we've known each other for I guess a year, almost 2 years coming now. But
Mhm.
how did you get started in all of this? So I know that you said you've been DJing like open format for the longest time, right?
Yeah, dude. It's been a long ride, but let's start from the beginning. I remember this was like summer 2013, when like that's basically like EDM, like big room prime time right
Oh
there.
yes, yes, yes.
That's like what not that was either like the year or the year like right after, like that
Hmm.
the electronic music, like EDM, big room at the time mostly hit like, mainstream like US, everybody was going to like, all these like events and like festivals. They were all just like starting to get into place. And one of my friends, she really wanted me to go to Governor's Island is the name of this venue in New York City, and they used to throw like a bunch of those events. I went to go see Henry Fong there. Besides the point. So yeah, I told her, I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I'm not gonna do that. I was super close minded, did not really care for it at the time. My headspace was totally in a different I just wasn't really there, but she kept on asking me, kept on trying to get me to come out. And later that year, 2013, for New Year's Eve, Alesso came to New York City. He went and performed at Pier 94. So everybody was there. Everybody and their mom was there.
Yeah.
Like there's thousands of people all there. And I've never really like witnessed anything like that before. But I was there for that. And I at that moment, just that's when it clicked. It just was
No
like, damn,
way.
bro, like I gotta do this. I have to like figure out how I can like be this DJ guy. Like
Uh-huh.
what do what do I do to become like this, right? So after that, like first of all, I was super hooked on like the music and the culture and the vibe. So I literally kept on going. Webster Hall historic New York City venue,
Yes, yes.
bro. I'm talking about old Webster. You know, when old Webster had like the basement and had like multiple like side stages and stuff. And bro, like I still was not. I didn't even touch any like setup decks yet at the time.
Mhm, mhm.
I was still going to these events like religiously. I'm literally like every weekend you would be able to find me at Webster. But in my defense, like I wasn't spending anything, to go
Mhm.
because Webster at the time they had like this super super like busted guest list system. All you had to do was go to the website, sign up for the guest list, print out the guest list pass, and
Oh
then that's
my
it. And then
gosh.
oh, you're on the guest list? Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's go.
Dude, I wish
You go right inside.
holy crap, I wish they had that today. I know Webster, so I've never been to any shows outside of the DC area. But I know Webster Hall, like that's like a legendary venue. And
Yeah, and
dang,
those
free
upgrades,
guest list.
bro. I have not yet had a chance to go to to the new Webster, but I told
Mhm.
myself I'm not gonna go until I play there. That's the
Yeah.
next time that I'm gonna go to
Oh
Webster
shit,
Hall.
okay.
I'm not playing around with that. So and that it's almost been like I think like 10 years
Yeah.
plus since or less than 10 years now actually since I've stepped in there last. But that place is amazing.
That's so
And
funny.
that's where that's where premix. I say premix because that's
That's a good one.
before remix before me. Before before I really knew what I was doing. That's where that was born where I started DJing like my friends like house parties and stuff. I went to a bunch of like college parties in Binghamton. Shout out Binghamton Lambdas. Bro, I was there like every weekend, every other weekend, just going
Oh,
there, having
dang.
fun and spinning all these house parties and stuff. So
Mhm.
like that's like that's like DJs like building exposure,
Right,
so like
right.
I was like building my exposure and like figuring out like what to do, behind the decks. I didn't really have like anybody like tell me like, okay, this is when you should start doing this is when you should start doing that. I have like a couple of my older mixes. Like from that time period, I found my hard drive and like I listened to the like some of those transitions and they're not fun to listen to. I'll tell you that.
No, I
I just I didn't really understand it. It took me a little bit of time. Like after that point, and like every time I would try something new or I would get back into the mix or whatever. I would always get to like these new breakthroughs. Like I finally you know way too late. I understood how phrasing and like beat matching
Yep,
really
yep.
worked. I was like, oh, like duh, that's how that works, right? I finally figured that out. Figure out how to kind of like move between like two songs or three songs or four songs, whatever, like super quick. I
Mhm.
figured out how to do that, and then it really took me a while to kind of like understand like, all right, uh, I was one of those guys who played like for me, because I really liked like EDM and like electronic music and stuff. So like, all right, cool. Like I like this, so you guys are gonna listen to this just because,
Yeah, yeah.
versus like what I do now, where it's a little bit more inclusive of everybody. I try to play a little bit of something for the crowd first, and then I'm gonna bring it back to me. I'm gonna do something for me. I'll play like some crazy EDM stuff, whatever, and then I'll go back. I'll go back to like some crowd control, something that is familiar, with the audience that people can at least be like, oh yeah, like I know this song,
Mhm.
and then I'll do that crazy obscure shit and kind of go back and forth and like build that's really like how I build my rapport like throughout like the night. People they kind of like see and understand the vibe like, oh, this is what this guy is doing. It's kind of going back depending on the gig and stuff. If it's like a top 40 like setup, then I'm not gonna be playing dubstep like that. But if I feel like it, like sometimes I just do it just because.
Yeah, I mean, if the energy is there, why not?
Hmm.
So this was so you started back in like said 2013. I'm assuming you were in college at the point to go to shows and stuff. So you started with the big room, the main stage, like
Yeah,
Alesso
bro.
names
I was
that.
a big room hero.
Oh, me too, me too. I think we all start like that. That's always our
I,
gateway.
I was just totally, one, two, three, four,
Yeah.
yeah, like that was me, like, and I still have I clown around on it like as I am right
Yeah.
now, but like I still have a lot of love for the genre. I still carry a lot of big room
Mhm.
in my kits and stuff. I still play it. Sometimes someone got mad at me that I was playing big room house instead of tech house. I'm like, dog, you should have specified because if you
Yeah.
say house, I'm not gonna like. I'm thinking more on like the energy side. So you gotta tell me tech house so I play it.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. So how did you make the transition from from big room? Because now you're big into trap, like hybrid trap and that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
guess how did your sound evolve over time? Like, is it just consistently going to shows and like eventually a trap artist came up and you're like, dang, this is kind of my cup of tea.
I mean, it really kind of it happened when I just kept on going to shows. I
Hmm.
think like over some time, um, I guess the big room sound got stale to me. Not because the sound was stale, but because like I just had gone like
Right.
a lot. I went like every other weekend to see all these like big room guys. Every music festival. I would always make sure to put like these. Oh yeah, we gotta see Martin. We gotta see Calvin. We gotta see Firebeats. We gotta see all these. All I'm telling you, Rehab, Afrojack.
Oh hell
Zed.
yeah.
Bro, I'm going through like the big room A list right here. Like that's that was what I just like saw like for like at least a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years. But then after a while, you kind of evolve. You kind of try to see like, okay, where the new sound gonna be, or what are the new trends going to lead to? 2015. So that was September 2015.
Mhm.
I went to school at University of Buffalo, and that's where I learned about other different styles of like EDM.
Ah,
Before
okay.
I only really knew about like big room, and I knew about hard style because that used to be kind of like a thing in New York City. There's a couple right now, a couple hard style events right now, but kind of not as like prevalent as definitely like tech house, for example.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah, Buffalo. I learned about drum and bass. I didn't even know that was a thing. I reached out to some promoters. They were like, "Hey, you want to play for our events?" Yeah, bro, I'm trying to play. So these guys, I show them my big room mixtape, and they're like, "All right, cool, man. We need you to play some UK garage." And I'm just like,
Oh
"What
man.
I didn't even know what that is. I didn't even know what that was. So I looked it up. I found like a couple of songs, that kind of like fit that vibe, and I played like a set because that was what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to play like
Mhm.
UKG while like their headliners were like, oh yeah, like we're gonna play drum bass or whatever. I'm just like, okay, that's fine. After that, I quickly learned that that really wasn't my taste. So I kind of just kept on like jumping around to like different styles and different genres. In Buffalo, there's definitely a lot of like dubstep up there.
Mhm.
So I was exposed to a lot more dubstep up there than I would have been exposed in the city. And a lot of people they like that dubstep stuff. That's
Hell yeah.
where I was exposed to like more bass music side, and then after dubstep I found trap. And that's just a love story right there, man.
Yeah.
Once I found that I could have like some fat 808s and a crazy like sounding synth, and you just put them together. That's magic right there, man.
It is. It is.
Well, once I found that bounce, I've just been hooked, and that was the sound that um, I eventually transitioned to after maybe like 2 to 3 years of like DJing and figuring out, okay, like what do I want to do with this? How am I gonna do it?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I I just have not looked back since then. I definitely have like my appreciation for all the other genres, but
For sure.
definitely if you're gonna come to a remix set, for a fact that I'll be playing some trap. I'm gonna definitely play some dubstep. I'll catch you with some DMB, some bass house. I
Yep.
do everything.
You
You
get
already
it
know what
all.
it is.
Yeah, I remember catching. I think that night a couple weeks ago. I think it was St. Patrick's Day. That was my first time catching like a full, not a full set, but like seeing you in action, like open format. And you
Yeah,
definitely hit like the top 40s, like the twerk music, and then you melt their faces with like the bass house and the dubstep. A little bit of dubstep, a little trap here and there, but
yeah,
yeah, you definitely play it all. So premix is all about big room and and
That wasn't
um,
even like
and
I'm not even gonna say the name because it doesn't matter. But we're gonna call before remix, we're gonna call him premix.
yeah. So you go into school now. Did you said like that first show was kind of like what opened your eyes to this whole world of music and DJing and dance music, but did you know that like this is what you wanted to do as like a career, or was it just like a hobby, or did you have a plan to like go into like school, 9 to 5 corporate grind, and this is just like gonna be a side thing, or did you know like yeah I'm this is like what I want forever?
Yeah, I mean, after I went to UV and I became more exposed to different kinds of music, and I was building my rapport in the community. I was making new friends, DJ friends, and just working with them. After that, I actually dropped out of UB, to
Oh
pursue
snap!
music like as the the only thing that I ever wanted to do,
Holy
Um,
shit!
so definitely very balls to the wall move, but I personally I don't see myself doing anything else in this lifetime, and
Oh
I didn't
man.
want to commit any more of my resources or attention into something that I felt that wasn't for me,
Mhm.
um, definitely. Uh, I don't have any regrets with that decision at all, and I have come a long way, because of the time and level of attention that I've put uh, in this craft, ever since.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah! I literally have chills right now because I so this episode I do want to stick mostly hearing about your story, but I'll take a little detour
Yeah, go
just
ahead,
to
bro.
say my now fiance, she also dropped out of college for not to pursue music, but for a similar thing of like, she hooked on to like her creative side and was like, yeah, this is what I want the rest of my life. I don't see myself, doing the 9 to 5, doing the corporate grind. And she's riding it out now and like, figuring out the creative side. So whenever I hear other people who have like done the same thing, like they've, because I really do think going to school and going into like the workforce another side note that's where I am right now. Like I went to
Mhm.
school, I'm in corporate right now, is like I really think that's like the easier path, quote unquote. What's expected, it's what society you know expects of you, and that's like the social norm. So to hear people who like were just like F it, I'm gonna follow what I believe in, like, and bet on myself, like that's just the freaking like best thing ever. It's like so inspirational. Like I love hearing stories like that. I had no idea
Well,
either.
we only got one life to live, man.
Yes.
And for me, like I do work a 9 to 5 now. I
Hmm.
work as a government contractor for the CDC, but but that that wasn't part of like what I wanted to do, and
Right.
I use it because you got to work a 9 to 5, or you got to have like some money
Right.
coming in,
You
of
got to pay the
course.
bills. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like I definitely made sure to handle that, but at the same time, my plan didn't really like involve like, okay, like it's not like I'm gonna have a 9 to 5 like 5, 10, 20 years down the line.
Hmm.
That's not in any way, shape, or form that I would like to be living my life. At that time, for me, I see myself touring. Multiple countries. I'm definitely going to be hitting up everywhere in the U.S. I'm going to South America. I'm going to
Yes,
Europe. I'm
sir.
going to Asia. I'm going to eat me some nice, some street food in
Yes, sir.
every place in Asia, bro. I'm gonna we're gonna do all that, and we're gonna bring fun music to the masses, and I'm going to put people on to some bounce, that trap bounce
Hell yeah.
that I'm currently still working on. But the the plan is really just to get to wherever you feel like is success in your eyes.
Right.
I think that everybody has their version of success kind of skewed, where it's like, oh yeah, in order to be successful, you need to have like $100 billion in the bank. You have to have all this, you have to have all that, you got to do all like let's we don't you don't need to do all that. Why
For
don't
sure.
we what we need to do is do whatever it is that you want to do, and no one else can tell you what to do except for you. If
Right,
you
right.
don't see yourself like in that 9 to 5, if you don't see yourself being like a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever it is, then you don't need to do that. What
Mhm.
you need to do is whatever that is for yourself, because at the end of the day, only you are looking out for you. People can tell you to do this or tell you to do that, but people come and go. So it's best for us to have that strong internal compass and make sure that it's highly calibrated towards whatever it is that you want, and you keep on making those movements little by little to get to where it is that you want to go.
Yes, 1000% agree. I'm big on like this idea of sense of self, and never to like let anyone dictate what your sense of self is. You
Hmm.
have your morals and your values, but who you are, what you want to do with your life. That's at your core. You enter this world and you're gonna leave it one day, and it's all about what you do in between. So is this the part where Remix is born? So you left school and you're like, you know
uh
what, this is what I want to do. And so how did Remix get his official start?
Remix got his official start. I actually pledged a fraternity.
Uh-huh.
Lambda Phi Epsilon is the name of that organization. So that's the fraternity that I pledged in Buffalo when I went there.
Mhm.
Um, and Remix came about because the name means is that I mix, like I DJ, and I'm also I mix like racial background too. So I'm
Oh.
actually, yeah, I'm Dominican and Taiwanese, and
Oh, I had
that's
no
it's
idea.
it's like a double, it's like a double entendre type of thing. So
I had no idea you were mixed and that you had Asian in you. That's awesome.
yeah, that's why Remix, bro.
Oh,
And
okay.
like it's just part of the play style too. I kind of like, I just created my own brand and I just stick to it. You hear it whenever I play. I play like a song for like like a minute or two max,
Yep.
depending on what it is, and then it's like, all right, boom, next song, or all right, I'll play this drop.
Yeah.
Whatever crazy drop, and then I just keep on going back and forth and back and forth.
That's one thing I noticed. So early on when we first started talking, I like looked you up on SoundCloud and looked up like your old mixes and stuff. And I was sitting there like with my DJ 400, my small baby controller, and I was listening to your mix. And I was like, this guy is mixing so fast. Like, how does he do that? Like, at the time, like I couldn't imagine like keeping up with that pace. And I was like, this is freaking awesome. Like, this guy's blazing, like setting his deck on fire at this point. But yeah, that's awesome. I had no idea that's where the name came from. Significance behind it. So
Yeah.
now you're working on your own music, and you've been releasing quite a few tracks on SoundCloud. What's next for Remix?
Next for remix is to keep following that cadence. I do have another track which I'm dropping this Thursday. It's not done yet, but it will be
Mhm.
done.
Yep.
That's it. I've just been creating and finishing up these tracks, and just kind of like building my discography on SoundCloud for right now, because I want to be able to show it off to promoters. I want to be able to show it off to talent buyers, to whoever really share. I've actually also shared some of my music with other like DJs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sent Slap. I sent that one. I sent that to 100 Drums. She was like, "Yo, this banging, dude.
No
Make sure to send me."
way.
Yeah, yeah. She said that it was great, and to send her whatever else that I have in the works.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
in the future. So I'm definitely gonna send her the one that I shared with you before, Uzi. I
Yep.
think that'll be dope. That's the new one that I'm working on. Yeah, that one was different. I don't even know what to name like these songs like half the time. Like sometimes I just get in the door, I just make like whatever, and it's just like, all right, what am I gonna name this? I don't know, man. Like I didn't even like
it
Michelle helped me came up with that milkshake. She helped me came up with the name Uzi because
mhm.
There just happened to be like a random theme. I just noticed it. You know, the first track that I released like 3 weeks ago, Rupture, S was the R. After that was Slap, S. The one I just dropped like last week, T, Touchdown. And then alphabetically, the next letter is U, R
Ah, okay.
S T U. Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
U. I didn't know what I was gonna name this U track, you know, for my little March Madness mini theme. So I figured I needed some help. I called in, the big guns milkshake to help me name it out. She said Uzi. I said yes,
That was a
that's
good
gonna
one.
be the
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, that
Yeah, I just listened to the song and I'm just like, yeah, that Uzi. I like that name.
yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. I feel like the drop came out of nowhere. When I was listening to the intro, I was like, okay, kind of like Marshmallow Ray Volp vibes, like kind of with the calmness in the beginning and the build up, and then the drop comes out of nowhere, really just like punch you in the face. I'm like, yeah, this is a remix track for sure.
Yeah, dude, it's been a long like music production, bro. Like DJing, easy mode, super, 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 super easy mode.
Yep.
And then when you make that jump and you finally get a DAW and start like producing music, there's just way too much information that you need to be aware of initially, But like the only way that you can you know sit down and make music is by going through like all those frustrating and challenging moments, like it definitely sucks going into like that and just kind of like you know changing knobs that you don't even know like what said knobs even do, and you're just like, oh, maybe I'm just gonna put this here just because, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna put this limiter on that, or you're just like you totally don't even know what you're doing, and that's okay because like
Hmm.
it's a whole new like experience. It's not even remotely the same as DJing, but definitely they are related. So I just you gotta keep on cranking them out, man. That's really
Yeah.
like the only thing that's helped me, like be better with production. Instead of just like sitting and just like not being happy with like putting out, whatever content you have, like just put it out anyway. Like even if it's not good objectively, you're gonna learn. Someone's gonna tell you, hey, I think this is too loud, or I think this is too low, or why is that here, or whatever. All that feedback.
Hmm.
You'll eventually take it. Over time. Little by little, piece by piece, you'll start to learn the ins and outs of your software. You'll start to learn, okay, I got to cut, below 30 hertz because humans can't really hear that well. Lower than that frequency range. You don't want to have all these like muddy things fighting for all that space and all that stuff, man. Like, it just took me like, where's your side chain? Oh my god! When someone said that shit to me that was like that was the first track I ever made, bro. Tweak, right? First track I ever put out. I was so happy. I was like, yes, I did it. I made a song, and I put it on like a stream share or whatever.
Hmm.
And someone did, where's the side chain? I'm just like, huh? Like,
It's like what?
I get, and a bunch of other like, commentary that I thought at the time like, oh, this dude's roasting me, he's saying this or that or whatever. But like, it really wasn't like that. They were trying to tell me, like, hey,
Hmm.
like, where where's your side chain, bro? Like everything is, you can't do that. So I obviously, you're just like, what is this? And you Google it and you figure out, oh shit, I can't have everything hitting at the same time, otherwise you can't hear it all.
Yeah. I'm definitely on that early stage of figuring out producing because yeah, I'm 100% agree with you. Something about DJing just comes naturally. It's just the tactile like feel of the deck and like loading up tracks and
Yeah,
understanding like music and listening. It's like instant, like almost instant gratification. So producing is definitely like the challenge and like almost like learning a new language. But yeah, that's really interesting to hear like in the beginning how.
dude. There's so much, man. So many like times where I would submit something, to like a stream or whatever, and then it's just like, oh, like what is even going on
Mhm.
here? And I'm just like, ah, fuck, back to the drawing board.
Yeah. But wait, we're learning, and now you're at like I feel like you can get into that flow zone of like similar to how you are when you DJ. I feel like you're able to sit down and crank out a tune in day and a half, 2 days now, right? With
Not
how it's
yet.
going.
The fastest I've ever done to date was like 5 days.
Okay.
And that was like a super, and that was touchdown. The only reason that I cranked it out in 5 days was because it was for this competition,
Ah,
which I
okay.
lost. But whatever, even if it's okay, if even if you like submit to these competitions, you submit your music or whatever, and you don't win with the outcome that you expect, it's still a learning experience.
Hmm.
Without that competition, I would not have, busted that track out in 5 days. I never did that before.
Yeah.
Before, like, it would take me like, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I'm sitting on the same ID, just like, oh, like, when is this ever gonna get finished? Oh, I don't know. Like, like, no more. No more. I was done. I was done with that.
Yeah.
That competition came and really kind of gave me the kick in my ass that I needed to be like, hey, like, you know, when they told me that I had 7 days to finish that, I was just like, damn, bro, like I got 7 days to finish this, and I don't know like what I'm gonna do, but I did that, and it was a good experience. I learned how to make a track and work with a deadline, which is not really something that I've really ever done before, but it was definitely a learning experience. Um, and I just figured out how to just crank music out like just that much faster, because of that one experience, and now even if that competition didn't go up the way that I expected, that's fine. There's gonna be plenty more competitions where I can
Yep.
just crank out another song in like a couple of days. Okay, fine, whatever. That track doesn't get accepted. All right, doesn't matter. That's another track in the discography. I'm gonna keep on adding, tracks to my discography one by one by one by one by one.
Hmm.
Eventually I'll have like 20 tracks, then 50, then 100. Then even more. My goal for this year is to finish 50 tracks. Um, so that's what I'm trying to do. And even if I don't finish 50, if I finish like 25, that's 25 more than I started with
Right.
this year. So
Exactly.
I'm just putting that like super high standard just to get me like to get to work and create music, share my music with other DJs who may or may not like the style of music that I produce and get heard in that way.
Yeah. I always see it as well two things. I always see one like if something quote unquote gets lost in a competition or you get beat out or something. To me, it's always just like maybe that isn't my audience then. Maybe I'm just playing or submitting to the wrong people. And so
Mhm.
you find your tribe and you go from there. And two, it's like almost like throwing darts at a dartboard. Even though you don't get the bullseye on the first try, each throw will get you closer and closer. You can adjust, like you throw a little harder, you turn your wrist or something. Like each one, I'm sure taught you something new about production and your style as an artist.
Exactly. I'm still trying to really kind of find my style.
Hmm.
Not with like the drums. I think definitely with the drums, I got it. I'm pretty much like where I wanted to be with that. More on like the sound design or like my own like personal like sound design, my own like uh I guess set of sounds that I want to, represent or want to represent me. I'm still trying to figure
Hmm.
that out, but it's really like you say, you just got to keep on like applying yourself. You got to keep on throwing those darts at
Yeah,
the board, and you're gonna keep on like chiseling away at it, and eventually it'll be that sound that you're like looking for. I think even with this one, with the one that I share with you, like that's like my sound, like I've pretty
yeah,
much got it.
yeah,
It's been
yeah.
pretty consistent. I think it's
That's what
it's
I'm
getting like
saying.
I'm getting more consistent with it.
Yeah, yeah. Seriously, as soon as I heard it, I was like, "This is." I could have like a blindfold on. It would be like ID by ID. I would have known that this is a remix track. Like, there's no fooling me. Um, cool. So let's switch gears for the last like 10 minutes. How or what is Trigger Collective? How did it get started? And where do you want to take it?
Okay, Trigger Collective is an organization dedicated to bringing music to the people and changing the community through music. Where it came from, the name Trigger Collective, uh, it initially, was supposed to be a project with my friend Mahir,
Mhm.
um, and he is currently not with this project anymore because his father passed away unfortunately, and he had to really take a step back to focus on that, and also his own career. So music didn't really align with him for that. We were supposed to be together, Trigger Fingers. We were supposed to be
Oh, okay.
like a back to back like act, but he had to take a step back. And we were trying to think of like what would the duo name be? Like why? What are we gonna do? Like Remix and Mahoo, like that was that's our respective names. And I'm just like, what if we did this? We do Trigger Figures for both of us, and we'll do Trigger Collective for this organization that I want to create. And again, the name it comes from this super old game. I don't know if you know about Chrono Trigger. Huh, that's the name of the game. So in
Okay.
that game, there's like you got your set of protagonists or whatever, and they're going back and forth in time, to defeat like the main boss in the game, right? So they're going to different time periods, the time traveling,
Yeah.
and they're doing that thing to try to defeat the boss and save the world from its annihilation, like way down the line in like 1999.
Mhm.
That's when the game was supposed to have the apocalypse, right? So they do all these things, and they're able to defeat the boss, right? And how this is all connected is there's also a sequel of the game. So it's called Chrono Cross. And in that game, they do the same thing, except instead of going through time, they go between the dimensions. So you're in the same time,
Yo.
different dimensions. You're trying to beat the same boss again. And the only way to, and the canon way to defeat the boss is with music. You're supposed to,
What?
yeah, yeah. So there's like a set, there's like element, there's a whole. I'm not gonna get into it right now, but there's a whole like, there's a way that the game is played, and like you can like cast spells and stuff or whatever, and you get past a certain point in the game, and once you get like that item, your spells can start making music after you cast them. So you
Oh.
cast the spell, and then there's like a note that's played per with every respective element. And then when you play all the elements in the specific order at the end of the game, and then you use the item, then the song is played, and then you win. The game is over, and then everybody gets sent back to like their time and space line and all that stuff. So that yeah, super like
That's so
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, so that's how like I wanted to kind of like reenact that. That's like our mission statement at its core. To give back to the community through music. Kind of like how the protagonists in those two series they gave back to the community through music. They were able to vanquish the big bad boss at the end,
Yeah.
and everybody gets like whatever it is that they were searching for. So that's that's how all this came about, man.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. That's so cool. I had no idea. That's where it came. I thought it was just like a catchy name that you guys came up with, and it started over time. And wow, that is such a cool origin story.
Yeah, I had to make sure that it would be a name with lots of depth. I didn't
Mhm.
want it to just be just a name just because.
Yeah. So you guys started this org. What did you guys start off doing? Like small house parties, like throwing bangers at your frat, or what? How did you guys like? What were the early days of Trigger Collective like?
The early days of Trigger Collective, the first event that we ever threw as Trigger Collective was in Baltimore. We tried to do a pre-party for Moonrise. We had an event there several months prior, and that event went off. You know, it was a blast. We had like 500
Nice.
plus people in attendance.
Holy
That was
crap.
before. That was before. Like months before. Trigger Collective like was a thing. And then we decided to go back to that space. We decided to do a little pre-party for Moonrise. that event didn't go that well. Unfortunately, we had like I think what 50, 75 people there, and it didn't really discourage me, but I was just like, damn, dude, like what are we doing wrong, right? What
Mhm.
what happened? So we had to go back to the drawing board. We needed to really think and cover all of our bases. We made sure to do our promotional strategies on point for the next one. Made sure to get like good flyer, good media coverage, and all that stuff. And I had all that stuff prepared. We were able to find a venue to work with in Flushing, Queens, super
Okay.
far from like everything. That place is called Topsa. We did a couple events there. Every week we did events there, and we tried to keep on building our name there, our brand, our rapport. We got a lot of people to come out to our events there. It wasn't like a super like populated like thing because again, that was in College Point, Queens. So not many people went out there. A lot of the times, our biggest events that we had there were the New Year 2020. We did 2020 Vision. That was the name of
Dang.
the event, and that went really well. And then the other really good event that we did there was for Lunar New Year. That was later in January, so that was a pretty good event for us too. And it was kind of a struggle to get people to come out to that space because it was pretty far. There wasn't really accessible transportation out there.
Right.
In order for people to get there, you would either have to drive or you would take the train to the bus, and like that's a lot of like extra steps for a lot of people. So we didn't really see too much success working with that space a lot of the time. But
Mhm.
we kept on working. We kept on trying to figure out what to do to make our events better. We kept on trying to reach out to the right people to play the right sets. And what I mean by that is trying to kind of organize the night, organize the energy of the night. Instead of like having people come in and play rhythm at like 10 p.m. Maybe we should put those guys like last or like near the end where like people don't really care too much about like what's being played, and like they're already too far gone, or they're just there actually there for the music, versus the people who are kind of there, they kind of see what's going on early.
Mhm.
They may not necessarily be accustomed with the space or like the vibe, so you want to make sure that those guys stay. And we try to focus a lot. And this is where like I started transitioning, my like selection as well too, because at the time,
Oh, okay.
you know, even around then, like I was kind of still focused on my old ways where I just kind of played for me when I should have, been playing for both the crowd and me. We were trying to kind of facilitate that and try to create lineups that did that, that in that sort of way, so people can like stick around and have fun.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, that that place, that was not like it was not the easiest space to work out of by any means, but it was definitely like a great learning experience. For like what not to do. Whenever you're having an event, what where to not throw an event. Not super far out in the middle of nowhere. You want to pick somewhere that's a good location, or easily accessible to the people.
Yeah.
Uh, after we worked at that space, we had this one event in Chinatown, which is in Manhattan. Much closer, much closer to like where everybody is at. The only problem was that it was much smaller. So
Ah.
there's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of like pros and cons to different spaces. And then after that event, that was early March 2020. Immediately after we hosted that event, that was a great event for us. We sold out to max capacity, and everybody had fun, and we were ready for what was next. But coronavirus was even more
Yep.
prepared for us.
Yeah.
So that kind of really shifted the trajectory of everything. I didn't really know what to do, or how we could possibly even remain relevant in the face of a pandemic, where no one wants to go out, no one wants to get sick, no one wants to get hurt, no
Mhm.
venues are open, there's all this legislation, no one can do nothing. you guys are all fucked. Stay home.
Yeah.
you know so when that happens, what do you do? What we had to really sit down and we had to pivot, and I really didn't want to do streams, but we did streams. And the only reason that I didn't want to do streams was because I was so frustrated, man. Like, I was just like, I don't want to play music at home.
Right,
Like,
right.
it was just like, it just took some time to like getting used to. We've seen like some other streams and stuff. So we're just like, whatever. We're gonna do a stream. We're gonna come together. But I didn't just want to do a stream, just because, right?
Mhm.
So our first stream that we hosted was the Mask Our Heroes stream, and that was a campaign that we raised awareness for the coronavirus pandemic in New York City, and we were able to get personal protective equipment to New York City hospitals where it was most needed. So we were able to raise, I think about 2,000. I gotta remember it, but
That's
it's there. It's
insane.
yeah. So we were able to raise that, which wasn't a lot by any means, but when it's all said and done, it just feels really good to like be a part of that, and be able to contribute in a meaningful way, versus like, oh yeah, we're just we're just doing this stream. Come hang with the gang and like just make some noise on the chat.
Yeah.
I couldn't see myself do that, and I wanted to make sure that whenever we did do events, that people would be paying attention to us, because we were doing what we needed to do in order to stand out amongst everybody else who was doing the same exact thing. Everybody at that time was streaming. Everybody was trying to figure out how to be able to capitalize on the online space. And now it's already like 3 years beyond the pandemic, and some people are still doing streams and stuff. It's definitely not as prevalent as it was then,
Mhm.
but again, like, I feel super proud about the work that was done with those streams during the pandemic. And it really kind of helped shape the future of TC. After that, I really wanted to make it a part of our mission statement to be able to give back to the community through music. Just like how those set of protagonists did in Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Now we're doing the same exact thing. We're out here, going to all these different types of fundraisers and campaigns, and we're defeating all these these little bosses in like different universes or different
Yeah.
timelines, or whatever, however you want to make that distinction. But that's what it is that we're doing. We're focusing on whatever cause that we feel is right, and we full send and do whatever we can to the best of our ability, and raise attention, awareness, funds, whatever. That's what we do, man.
I freaking love that, man. I always, you know, understood that this was like a collective, a group of like musicians, artists, and whatnot, but I never knew like the origin story. And then now like the whole pandemic and how it like kind of shook things up. But again, it's another example of like how things don't go according to plan, or how things like, you know, who could plan for that? But you adapted, you changed it up, and here we are now. Um, I guess my last question for you, at hearing all of this, all the different hats that you had to wear over these past decade now of doing music, what is something you wish you could tell 2013 Big Room Premix, starting off his journey in music? Because it can be an intimidating thing. It can be like an almost isolating thing.
uh,
Um, what would you tell him? And what advice would you share with them?
One day you're gonna look back, you know, from wherever, whatever point you are, all the way to the beginning, and you're gonna, look and and you know, um, relive all that time that passed, and you're gonna just really be thankful for all of the effort that you put in. You're gonna thank yourself, future you, for putting in all that work, and committing and just sticking the path. That's the advice that I would give to 2013 premix, to just stay committed to the end, to the end, and you will have that moment in time where you're going to get to prove yourself to everybody, and you'll be ready. Even if you don't make those competitions or those goals that you thought that you were going to be able to make, all of that's all going to be training you for the moment that has yet to come. And then once that moment does come, you're going to be able to crush
Hell yeah. It's all
it.
gonna be worth it in the end.
Yeah,
Ah, wonderful. Freaking awesome, man. Well, Wade, thank you so freaking much, man, for being the first person on TC Talks. This was kind of an idea that I had thought of when listening to Willie Joy, and I was like, we could do that too. I think we can spin it our own way, and remix it to make it something unique to Trigger Collective. So thank you so much for being the first to talk to me on this and for helping me, get this off the ground. And I hope there's so much more to come.
of course, Thomas. Thank you so much for having me as the first guest of TC Talks. And let me know if you need any help. And I would just I'm always down to help out in any way, shape, or form that you need. And I'm really excited to see where you take where we take TC Talks. Um, we got more coming in the future, man. Like I know that.
And with that, we have our first episode of TC Talks featuring my good friend and honestly my mentor, Remix. Huge thanks to him for not only being the first one on here, but allowing me to start this project, this podcast under Trigger Collective. He's really such a kind soul. And I hope you all were able to learn a thing or two by listening to his story. If you're interested in being featured on TC Talks, please feel free to check the info down below or shoot us a DM at Trigger Collective on all socials. Hope to see you on the next one. Take care.